into the crackdown on campus protests. Hello and welcome to KCOM News at Noon and streaming on CBS News Los Angeles. I'm Amy Johnson. Let's get a live look now at the UCLA campus from SkyCal. A rally is getting underway at the Bruin Bear statue. This is part of a walkout that started at 9 o'clock this morning. UC workers showing their opposition to the way the university handled the pro-Palestinian encampments. KCOM News reporter Jasmine Veal is live there on campus. Jasmine, what's going on?
Wachter has been identified as a victim of a deadly shooting in downtown LA.
Yeah, the 37-year-old was probably best known for appearing in nearly 200 General Hospital episodes. The shooting happened around 3 a.m. on Saturday. This is near the intersection of South Hope Street and West Pico Boulevard. Police say Wachter witnessed 3 men trying to steal his car's catalytic converter. And then when he tried to intervene, that's when the actor was shot.
Blazing inferno started.
Early Sunday morning, residents in this Chinatown neighborhood began hearing loud pops in the 700 block of North Bunker Hill Avenue.
Sounded like fireworks and really scary.
I smelled like
freeways converge here, but what we're seeing is that protesters have taken over what appears to be the entrance ramp to the freeway there, and occasionally we've been seeing them walk across the freeway as well.
Yeah, you know, we're seeing, gosh, well over a dozen people. I mean, it looks like people are also...
KS live guitar music comes out every Monday through Friday, 4:30 in the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in Newswire on Rumble. We might even irritate the Evil FB Network on Rumble. Man, the barbecue going down, that movie or TV actor getting killed over a catalytic converter. Holy but Jesus, coming on. Late Bill Walton, dead at 71. He'd been battling cancer for a long time. Stewart Haas Racing shuts down. Tony Stewart calling it quits in the NASCAR realm, where he made his big fortune. Wasn't necessarily surprising, but nonetheless, still's a little bit of a shock. Want to get to these, whatever they are, professors, workers, protesting. They're doing it at UCLA. They're doing it at UC Davis up in NorCal over the Gaza, way they handled the Gaza deal. Let's get more from the KCAL report. Here we go.
Now from the ground here on campus, they are marching toward the Bruin Bear statue. You're looking at teaching assistants, tutors, researchers, and they have walked off the job today, and they are picketing across campus as they say their rights have been violated. They are upset with how the UC system responded when faced with protests over the war in Gaza. Now, I've seen some campus security standing by, kind of moving along with the crowd. These workers say when pro-Palestinian protesters gathered on UC campuses that the university took unlawful actions like using police force, and they claim violating workers' rights to free expression. So they are alleging these unfair labor practices. Let me take and show you some of the video from last.
All right. Can we dig Ronald Reagan up out of the ground? Fire every one of those clowns that are sitting up there. They're protesting. Oh, they were mean to the little protesters who are illegally occupying the university, putting other people's public safety in danger, threatening everything else. They had no right to be there. They had no right limiting anybody else's ingress and egress that was entitled to be on that university to get an education. You're not entitled to be on that university to make an ass of yourself. And if you're going to be working on this and you're going to do UC Davis and UCLA, fire them immediately. Put up with this kind of crap.
This week, what led up to all of this, they were standing there with the pro-Palestinian protesters who tried to set up another encampment on campus. No one was arrested in that confrontation. But earlier this month, law enforcement forcibly broke up and had to move in on that large pro-Palestinian encampment near Royce Hall. Hundreds of people, then including students and staff members, were arrested, and some are still facing the disciplinary action.
Facing disciplinary action? Why aren't they fired? Why didn't they arrest him the second time they started this crap? Holy Moses, we got to get some more balls in this country. This is getting flat ridiculous.
That's why UAW authorized the strike. They also want the UC to grant those facing charges amnesty. And they told me they plan to make this long-term if necessary. Take a listen. How long are you planning to be on strike?
For as long as it takes. The strike has been sanctioned until June 30th, which
I would tell her, the little missy, you're fired and we don't want to see your butt. You are not allowed on this campus for any reason. You and your cohorts, you're done. See you later. Sayonara. Goodbye. Well, we need to get Trump out here. What was his famous words in his TV show, "You're fired"?
is the last day of our contract and our academic calendar. So as late as June 30th, if the university has made no progress in meeting our demands, is how long we'll be out here.
I was here that night, April 30th into May 1st, and I saw, a line of police officers just standing by, watching people.
Well, the cops should have been in there busting their ass in this guy, too, if he was getting in the way. Heck with this noise of you. God, we've turned into a nation of frickin' pansies. God almighty. Can't take any more of this nonsense. On that sad story, General Hospital actor saw some dudes out there stealing his catalytic converter, went out there to confront them. He is now dead. Yes, dead. See if this will play.
Police say Wachter witnessed three men trying to steal his car's catalytic converter. And then when he tried to intervene, that's when the actor was shot. We spoke with his younger brother just a short time ago. He tells us, as you can imagine, the entire family is devastated.
I want them to know that he was a great man, was a great brother, a great son, was a loving guy. And everything he did it with all of his heart. And that it's a shame that he was taken from us and he didn't deserve that.
Of course, this is an ongoing investigation. Police are still searching for the son.
So now we have a young man, dead, acting career. I don't know, I think he was bartending or something, probably in between jobs. And these dudes are out there stealing his or somebody's catalytic converter, and they wind up shooting him. I mean, you can't roll back the clock now, but I bet you he wishes he had a firearm with him when he went out there to confront them. Hey, it's a dangerous world. We let these freaking protesters walk all over us. We don't do anything. Then the little missies and the little Mr. Missies with no balls sit there and, oh, well, they had cops there actually trying to enforce the law. Holy bejesus. What a crock. And then they're on the the 101 or something on there? Yeah, the 101 freeway. This is because we let all this stuff go. There's no punishment if you go kill somebody when you were stealing. Well, you wind up killing. These guys will probably never, even if they get caught, they'll probably never be punished. Now we got yo-hos on the 101 shutting the freaking freeway down.
There, and occasionally we've been seeing them walk across the freeway as well.
Yeah, we're seeing, well over a dozen people. I mean, it looks like people are also walking to that specific area where they're all just kind of gathering there. We see some flags that are being raised, but we are seeing how traffic is being affected as well on this Memorial Day. So many people are, starting to drive back home now from their destinations, and this could really take a toll on so many of those drivers out there.
Very dangerous situations. You can see there are.
I mean, what is the reporterette trying to do? Cover a dozen? Does that look like a dozen people to you? I mean, if you're referring to where the on-ramp is, you got about 40 or 50, then at least that, probably 100 or so up around the other off-ramps and overpasses and things like that. On top of it being a dangerous situation, there's people going 60 miles an hour down the freaking freeway, and these yahoos are out there in the way and then blocking the off-ramp. Traffic's bad enough in Southern California. You don't need to create problems, but this is because we let them get away at UCLA or UC Irvine or UCR or Davis or Berkeley or wherever. We let them get away with the riot and deal, burning the towns down, occupying people's property. We put up with the vagrancy every freaking day. Man, we need to go out there. They need to immediately. We need to get the old paddy wagons back out. Just show up with the buses, arrest them, and get them the hell out of there. And charge them to the full extent of the law. Need these jackasses out there doing this quarter stuff. I better tone it down. Again, before my head explodes. Bill Walton, one of the greatest, maybe even the greatest college career as a basketball player, played for UCLA and John Wooden, passed away after a long battle with cancer. He had a storied NBA career. He was maybe thought it might be one of the greatest of all time, but foot injuries. One time he was up to over 30 surgeries on his foot, so his NBA career got cut short. He won a championship or two still in that, 3 in a row, I think at UCLA, under the great John Wooden. Was also a very eclectic broadcaster as a color man on basketball.
We have some breaking news. A former NBA MVP turned legendary broadcaster Bill Walton has died. The NBA just announced his passing moments ago, saying he had been suffering with cancer. In a statement, Commissioner Adam Silver said, in part, "I treasured our close friendship, envied his boundless energy, and admired the time he took with every person he encountered."
100% legend in the sporting world and broadcasting world, Bill Walton succumbs to cancer at age 71. Quick racing story before we get on to the other national and local news going on. Stewart Haas Racing in NASCAR, the big NASCAR team owned by Tony Stewart, and machinery mogul Gene Haas has shut down. It's been reported today was the day the announcement was going to come. Everybody was speculating anything from complete shutdown to maybe selling off half the team or doing something. Well, Kenny Wallace, according through Adam Stern, one of the big NASCAR reporters, said, Stewart Haas is done. Tony Stewart throws it in. Here's Herman. Here we go.
Trustworthy reporters said that Stewart Haas Racing is shutting down. Completely devastating to all those people that work there. I'm so sorry. The statement reads, somehow Adam Stern got a quote from Stewart Haas Racing, and it goes like this. It says, "It is time to pass the torch. Our business perspectives are all different now."
Tony Stewart has, since the new car that's came in, he basically has pulled away from NASCAR racing, made him a multi-millionaire, I think 2-time champion of that. Started with Gene Haas bought into Gene Haas that started the team. He went Formula One racing, or has been racing in Formula One now for a few years. Seems like both of them have different interests, drifted away. No more. They're done. That's kind of shocking, surprising. We'll see where his 4 drivers and crews and employees all wind up, but this will be the last season for Stewart Haas Racing. Big news in the NASCAR front. We'll roll with some of the more interesting state and national, and even throw in a couple more local stories. Plus, we should have Dr. Kelly Victory on today. Yes, we should. She had some deals going on. I think a house full of guests yesterday on Memorial Day. Took Memorial Day off. Not one of the crazies like us who no rest for the wicked. Of that. It's been, again, that protester thing. The UCLA, where I don't know. Like I said, why can't we get Ronald Reagan, who fired the air traffic controllers? You're not going to get we're not going to get any resolution till the Anthony Fauci's and Dasics are in jail, till you start firing these idiotic personnel, I don't know, teachers, assistants, whatever. Oh, they were mean to the protesters. That just is frying my brain to no end. Another thing that fries my brain is every time I hear the witch or the bitch, Hillary Clinton, she's back at it again. She did this after she lost in 2016 to Donald J. Trump, mainly because Trump out-campaigned her. She thought everybody was going to bow down and kiss my little rear end, and I didn't have to work to be president. It was going to be a coronation. This was in the New York Post. Over the weekend, Hillary Clinton blames fellow women for costing her the election. The quote is, "I am supposed to be perfect." No. You have told everybody you were perfect. Smartest woman in the world. No, in all of recorded history. Hillary Clinton. My rear end doesn't stink. I've never done anything. I am the princess, I am the queen, everybody should bow down to my feet. She exudes that every time she opens her freaking mouth. In the NYP, Hillary Clinton is making more excuses for why she lost the 2016 election. You know, lady, can't you get over it? That was, almost 8 years ago. And you're still whining and crying and blaming everyone else. Except, you want to know, sweetheart, how you lost the election? Go to the nearest mirror, full-length mirror, head to toe, and look into it. And say, I am the reason I lost the presidency. Because I'm a witch. I'm trying to be nice again. In the upcoming book, this time pinning it on her fellow women who abandoned her for not being perfect. The former Secretary of State claimed she lost female voters after an investigation was launched into her private email server, according to a Friday report in the New York Times. This goes back to, we'll get into maybe a little bit more with Dr. Kelly Victory, but it was breaking last week when we had her on Thursday. of the whole email deal with Anthony Fauci and the crew. And they're trying to hide behind their personal emails so they can pass the Freedom of Information Act or FOIA. So we couldn't have access to them. For crying the freak out loud. How, if you weren't doing things untoward, and I'm being nice again, that you should be in jail for, Missy. You might not have lost the election. Clinton's comments were adapted from an interview she gave in February to the forthcoming book, The Fall of Roe, The Rise of New America. She has, and we'll get to this in the Daily Mail article, she has blamed, I think it's up to 44 separate, different issues, things, people, for her loss of the presidency in 2016. Most of all, you didn't listen to Bill. Bill told you better get your little rear end out there and start doing a little campaigning. And you flipped him off and you said, yo, you evil white male, I'm going to show you I'm not going to do it. I'm going to show you I don't have to campaign. I'm going to show you I don't have to listen to you, Bill, who was, the 43rd president. Actually won the job twice. But he didn't know what he was talking about. This yo-yo, smartest person in the history of the world, don't even question it, told him to F off. You don't know what you're talking about. In it, the former First Lady claimed that Democrats underestimated the growing strength of anti-abortion forces that would ultimately dismantle the landmark Dobbs decision in 2022. I just think most of us who supported the rights of women and the privacy and the right to make the difficult decisions yourself, we just couldn't believe that it was happening. And as a result, they slowly, surely, and very effectively got what they wanted, Clinton said. No matter what you think of Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court made the correct decision. They made the decision as they were appointed to do. By the way, the Constitution. The Constitution says if the federal government, if it's not one of the specifically enumerated powers in the Constitution, those things are mandated by the states. Abortion, murder, criminal justice, for the most part, and the laws are up to the individual states to figure out how they want to handle the situation. We were not supposed to be a oligarch. We were not supposed to be a dictatorship. We were not supposed to be a king or a queen, as in jolly old England. I never understood that thing. And why you Englanders or everybody else that worships the king and the princess and all that, I swear you got rocks in your head. They're just normal freaking people. And you over there in the UK supporting them? I'd be in there cutting the money supply off to that immediately. Anyway. Overhanging the interview was the understanding that she won the White House. Roe most likely would have remained a bedrock of American life, the book authors wrote. Oh, yes, we'd have been in deep trouble. If Hillary Clinton would have appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, you might as well have forgotten the United States as we know it. That's lock, stock, and barrel. Clinton reflected on the role that sexism played in the 2016 campaign, claiming that FBI Director James Comey reopened a last-minute investigation due to a private email to raise questions about her judgment, calling her extremely careless. Extremely That's being like, she should have went to jail. She should be behind bars today for that and Benghazi and a whole lot of other things. And trying to weaponize our U.S. government and our FBI and CIA and Secret Service and everybody else to get into the political stuff and trying to blame Trump for what you were doing, colluding with the Russians to stop Trump. And then saying Trump's trying, Putin, and they're going to elect Trump, and it was you, and Obama, and Biden. They are the masters at deception. The widely covered move cost her the race and the female vote she speculated. See, all of you in the smarter half of the population, Hillary Clinton is throwing you under the bus, blaming you that she was not coronated queen of the world. But once he did that to me, the people, the voters who left me were women, she told the Times. They left me because they just couldn't take a risk on me because as a woman, I'm supposed to be perfect. No, they couldn't take a risk on you because they knew you would flush the country even faster down the toilet than Biden, Obama, Jimmy Carter, and a whole host of others. George W., both the Bushes. Faster than any of them combined times 10. That's why your colleagues in the smarter half of the population abandon you. Because they didn't want to become the next Venezuela, you moron witch. They were willing to take a risk on Trump, who had a long list of, let's call them flaws, to illustrate his imperfection. Because he was a man, they could envision a man as president and commander-in-chief. On the flip side, Trump's infamous accusations, sexual misconduct, and assault did little to sway his voter base. She pushed on the promise to reverse Roe if elected, which helped him win the election politically. He threw his lot in with the right on abortion and was richly rewarded, Clinton said. We'll go to the Daily Mail. And this is the 44. According to the Daily Mail, for everyone and everything, Hillary Clinton blamed for losing the election and counting. Well, let's get this. Deserves a full-on feature. James Comey, as was mentioned in the Post. James Comey, who was working with you to try to thwart Trump along with the FBI, and then you were trying to blame Trump for exactly what you were doing. Vladimir Putin, same thing. The Russians, WikiLeaks, transparency website consisted of, ranked along with Comey and Clinton. Well, you know what? They blew the whistle on a lot of the crap you were pulling. Oh, low information voters. In other words, you stupid people were not smart enough to elect me. You put yourself in a position of low voter information, and all of a sudden your Facebook feed, your Twitter account is saying, oh my gosh, Hillary Clinton is running a child trafficking operation in Washington with John Podesta. She told that. Well, if you don't believe it, but it was such an unbelievable action, you go, maybe I better look into this. The Electoral College. We have an Electoral College problem. It's anchoranism, she told Vox. The electoral college system is saving the United States of America right now, because if we went by the popular vote, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco, New York, again, city, would be determining who was president of the United States. And we see what a dumpster fire those are. Anti-American forces. In other words, those evil white hillbillies, those racists. Everyone who assumed she would win. I was victim of a very broad assumption I was going to win. No, you told everybody it was destiny that Queen Hillary was going to rule the world. Bad polling numbers. Every Cook poll, except what was it? I think the LA Times and Investors Business Daily had her in the lead. And in some places in states, Wisconsin by 17 points, which Trump won, and basically Wisconsin's what put Trump over the top on the Electoral College. You paid for push polls that were lying to you, and you got what you deserved. Barack Obama. Clinton has two beef with Obama. One, he won 2 terms. He won 2 terms. Say what you will, he went out and worked for them. But she says his response to the Russian campaign interference wasn't enough. White women! I believe, absent combing, I might have picked up 1 or 2 more points among white women, she told Vox in September. White women are really quite politically dependent on their view of their own security and their own position in society that works or doesn't work for them. What happened in my election is I was on the way to winning white women until former FBI Director FBI James Comey dropped the very ill-advised letter on October 28th, and my numbers just went down. Oh, and she said in March in a speech in India. No. All women decided we're not going to flush ourselves down the toilet with Hillary Rotten Clinton. The New York Times. She singled out managing editor Dean Baquet, the paper's most senior editor, and said the coverage of her email issue was under his direction. They covered it like it was Pearl Harbor. No, they covered it for once, for one of the few times as they should. Joe Biden could have run against her, but didn't. Clinton writes, Biden said the Democratic Party in 2006 didn't talk about what it always stood for, and that's how to maintain a burgeoning middle class. I find it fairly remarkable, considering Joe himself campaigned for me all over the Midwest, and plenty about middle class. Bernie Sanders, his attacks cause lasting damage. Bernie Bros. Oh, I'll use on the extreme socialistic nutcase. All you Bernie Sanders and Bernie Bros, Bernie supporters. It got ugly and more than a little sexist, she wrote, in What Happened. People wanting change. Yeah. They were tired of Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama. The monolithic presidency that was flushing the United States down the toilet. They were tired of seeing their dollar devalued. They were tired of the stupid trade deals. They were tired of China taking advantage of us and Russia at every opportunity. They were done with stupid, misogynists. Asked by CNN's Christiane Amanpour at the Woman for Woman International event in New York in May, if misogyny was blamed, she said, yes, I think it played a role. Again, television executives who were kissing the ground and laying out red carpets and giving her, who knows, Gadzillion times the TV coverage that she deserved. Yet, she blames the TV executives who were drooling, and I'm putting this kindly, all over her. Netflix! Heard this one. Hillary does not do Netflix and chill, or does she find it very relaxing? 8 of the top 10 political commentaries on Netflix were screeds against President Obama and me, she claimed. Facebook, Twitter. The exact Facebook and Twitter that were begging you to use their platforms, and you told them, I don't need you. While Trump was Xing you to death and connecting with the American people, content farms in Macedonia, through content farms, through enormous investment in falsehood, fake news, and call it what you campaign finance, the media, we're back to that. The evil Steve Bannon and Breitbart provided untrue stories. The Democratic Party, and the Republican Party. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party who were backing her. It was the people that backed Trump. Practically everybody in the Republican Party, establishment elected official, like this year, as in 2016, backed other candidates and were doing anything to stop Trump. Cambridge Analytica, Robert Mercer, the billionaire, Breitbart backer, and his family have targeted voters to drive them away from Clinton from Her Highness. Women protesters, Matt Lauer, white voters. So we went from just white women, well, we'll just throw all the whiteys down the drain. Democratic documentary makers, Hollywood, Netflix, Benghazi investigators, holy cow. The attacks on Benghazi were, if Hillary Clinton wasn't Secretary of State, the Benghazi tragedy would not have happened. Voter suppression. Mitch McConnell, the Supreme Court, fathers, husbands, boyfriends, and male bosses. Clinton said James Comey's actions again. Women will have no empathy for you because they will be under tremendous pressure. I'm talking principally about white women again. Boy, she just hates you guys. Isn't Hillary, by chance, a rich, privileged white woman? What do they call them? Woke, wealthy white women. Hillary Rodham. The Rodhams were very wealthy in the clique in Chicago, the invisible state. Her confident Lanny Davis is the reason she lost reading his book while Hillary nodded along in approval. Oh, Lanny Davis. Who would have ran around the world 3 times naked to get Hillary Clinton elected, and she's blaming him. Pizzagate. Many funny things. "44 and counting. She's blamed everything and everyone. Even the ones that backed her the hardest. Her constituency college educated, suburban and urban white women. They voted for freaking Joe Biden more than you. That's how bad they hated you. Because you're calling all of this stuff. I hope now and Bill Clinton, even though I did, a lot of the, probably 40% of the time, he was probably right on the issues. He was a hell of a communicator. He was in the Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, Barack Obama inability to communicate, to deliver a speech. And she blamed everyone, everything, her most fervent supporters, to her deepest, darkest enemies, it was all their fault. Not once. This is how disingenuous, again, I'm trying to be nice again, disingenuous that woman is. Not what, there was somebody in Moreno Valley who was this to a freaking T. Someone who would stand up on the dais, say, I'm not leaving this office unless they take me out. Doesn't matter. We got the job legally, illegally, whatever. So it's not exclusive to Hillary Clinton. There's a very small part of the narcissistic, it's all about me. Doesn't matter. I will flush anybody down the toilet. I will blame anybody. I've never made a mistake in my entire life. That's why you lost. You evil witch. Of all the ones, and I predicted it, well, when I was working on the other guy's show, but I was on, and I predicted it on Monday. The November before Tuesday's 24 hours before the election, I said, Trump's going to win this. And I remember Lou, he wouldn't even talk about it. We were on for 2 hours. He wouldn't even talk about it until we were right at the end. He was convinced Hillary was going to win. There was no way Trump was going to win. And I laid out the Electoral College, how he was going to win by, 1 or 2 Electoral College votes. He actually won by more than that. He took the roll out of the Rust Belt, which, was iffy, but he was in play on it. And where Hillary Clinton just totally ignored it. If she would have campaigned in the Rust Belt in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota, well, she did win Minnesota by barely. But if she'd have campaigned in those 4 states, she probably would have won in 2016. She flat told everybody, from Bill Clinton on down to Lanny Davis to James Carville and everybody else, I don't have to campaign. They're going to elect me. And now, ever since that day, she's cried crocodile tears and blamed I'm surprised she doesn't blame the cockroaches somehow for not supporting her fellow colleagues. Boy, I can get on a roll on that. But, man, there's nothing to light. Well, there are maybe 2 other things that'll light my fuse harder than Hillary Clinton. Like I say, Bill Clinton's got his issues. At least Bill Clinton is likable. You know, you could see, I mean, at least I could see myself sitting down having a beer or something with Bill Clinton and shooting the breeze. I think I'd take a 357 and blow my brains out if I had to be even in the presence of that witch. She is that bad. We'll be joining the Mighty Met in about 5 minutes. Hopefully we'll have Dr. Kelly on. We'll catch up on some more of the news there. But I will be going after the show today, of course, over to Moreno Valley Unified for the school board meeting and all that. Be the day, well, officially the first day since, or first meeting since Jesus Holguin announced he will be resigning in about a month. Actually, a month to the day, I think, the 28th of June. But we were talking about the military during Memorial Day, and only less than 1% are in that. Well, here's another take on that from some military members. This is one on the IG network. Here we go.
The system is designed for all these kids to pass or make it to the 12th grade. It's easy. It's almost effortless to make it to the 12th grade.
Okay.
Right? Because the standards have been watered down. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay.
100%.
So this is the thing. When you're paying for school and you're going to college, you're not getting pushed the same. These professors don't care if you finish. If you turn in your assignments, you're getting a 0, they're going home. So the initial inclination to finish, it's not there. And they're not used to that. They're not self-motivating. Because, I mean, in 2024, after COVID, a couple years after COVID, right? Like, they don't know how to motivate themselves. They don't have good study habits. And a lot of these kids think they're just going to turn that shit on once
they get to college.
Yeah, when they get to, I'll take school serious when I get to college. You still counting on your hands. You don't know your whole multiplication tables, but you're going to college. Don't start that. Don't start that. Don't start that.
Hey.
I'm not trying to be funny, I'm being serious.
Okay.
Right? Like people are graduating people are getting degrees, or excuse me, high school diplomas, and they can't read.
We have had 2 to 3.7 GPA come in and can't pass the ASVAB.
I had a degree. I had a college degree fail the ASVAB.
What is that saying?
Yeah. The education system is designed for all these kids to pass or make it to the 12th grade. It's easy. It's almost effortless to make it to the 12th grade.
Okay.
Right? Because the standards have been watered down. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay.
100%.
So this is the thing. When you're paying for school and you're going to college, you're not getting pushed the same. These professors don't care if you finish. If you turn in your assignments, you're getting a 0, they're going home. So the initial inclination to finish, it's not there. And they're not used to that. They're not self-motivating. Because, I mean, in 2024, after COVID, a couple years after COVID, right? Like, they don't know how to motivate themselves. They don't have good study habits. And a lot of these kids think they're just going to turn that shit on.
I had to run that again. The ASVAB, that's basically science, math, and reading aptitude tests the military gives you. Figure out which slot they're going to be put you in. They want to know, what kind of skills is this guy? Because they have 9,432,000 jobs. And they don't want you effing it up. Well, they can't find anybody because of our education system is turning out dummies. I mean, there's your military guys talking about it. They're living it. Like I said, hey, for every year, you want, for every $10,000 of college debt, we're going to wipe off the books 1 year military service. Not community service, military. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Well, we're throwing the Coast Guard. One year. So you got $100,000 in debt you want to wipe off? Well, you got a 10-year stint in the military, son or sonette. You will learn something. Because you ain't got no choice of backing out of that deal. And if you do, immediately the principal, whatever's left, gets doubled and you're paying it back at an 18% interest rate.
Once they get
to college.
Here's the signature, here's the pen. You want to sign on the line for that deal. Wonder how many of the little sissies running around now would want to take that deal. I bet not many of them. But we shall see if we get any consternation on any of this stuff, because it's getting 100% stupidity. Even that's why the military recruitment is down. They can't people who are qualified to do the jobs. It's something else. Will be, of course. We'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET here in just a little bit. Kick some of the, well, okay, maybe we'll kick the tires on the Hillary Clinton thing off the get-go with Dr. Kelly, and then we'll get into the latest on the COVID conundrum. I haven't even got to the 1,200 tiny homes deal that we've had to do on Gavin Newsom that he's getting roasted under the coals for.
Got 1 minute, Roy.
Wow, you came on again today.
That magic button, if it appears.
Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. We'll be joining the Mighty Met, as Sean said, here in a few scant seconds.
30 seconds.
As he said, 30 seconds. Financial, one of the things that's even more interesting, hopefully we'll get to it tomorrow. California, lowest tax revenue in the state.
All right, here we go, Roy. 10 seconds.
To support America, patriotswitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following program claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met. 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience in the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in Newswire on Rumble. We're again irritating the yo-yos over there on YouTube because we can. Of that, lots of stuff going on. The workers that are protesting at UCLA, UC Davis on going on strike, why aren't we firing them? And then you got the protesters in the streets. You got the poor TV actor. 3 guys are stealing his catalytic converter or somebody's catalytic converter, and he winds up being shot dead. He goes out there trying to find out what's going on of that. We went through the latest. It would be unbelievable from almost anyone, but the latest stuff on Hillary Clinton and her latest poor me. Don't even get me started on that, but as we usually do, well, we usually do on a Monday, but we're doing it on Tuesday. We have the supreme physician in all the world, expert on COVID-19, as I have determined. All around good person, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy. Are you there? No Dr. Kelly Victory. Well, we'll see if it works this time. We'll see if the magic button works. I love, the phone system's been working very well for the last few weeks. Now it's giving me trouble again. Do I have you now, Dr. Kelly?
You do, finally. The 10th time.
Knock on wood, for like 2 months, the phone system, after that, it seemed like forever. It was performing flawlessly, but I don't know, maybe it isn't back from it. Maybe it had trouble getting back from Memorial Day vacation or something.
Exactly. It's in protest for the Trump, waiting for the Trump verdict to come in.
Hillary Clinton over the weekend, before we get into the COVID stuff and stuff, Hillary Clinton is again blaming you and her colleagues as the white women and everybody else. Daily Mail had it 44 and counting, from Bernie to the media to Steve Bannon to James Comey, the FBI, Putin, and everybody. 44. She still will not admit today that, and she will, because like I've said, if you want to know Hillary the witch, why you lost, I said, go to the nearest full-length mirror, look into it, and that is who cost you the election in 2016. I don't know about you. Well, you're in that group, I think. If I was especially a white college-educated woman who abandoned her at a lot and probably did cost her the election because they didn't want to see their country go down the tubes. But if I was that, I would be... Where's the protest over Hillary Clinton and her calling everybody from a racist to white women cost me the election, Dr. Kelly?
And we talk about a woman who has absolutely no insight, no self-insight. It's Hillary Clinton. First of all, just the wording that women, quote, abandoned her. The implication there is that we used to be with her and then we left. A newsflash, most of us were never with you because you are so incredibly unlikable, Hillary. She is truly one of the most unlikable people who's ever run in politics, and she has no insight. If she did, she really is an embarrassment to herself. Talk about somebody who just needs to sail off into the sunset. She's got gobs of money. She could do the occasional commencement speech or do the occasional show up at something, but stop going on and blathering on about why it is your next idea for why you lost the election. She lost lost because she was incredibly unlikable. Women didn't like her. Men didn't like her. But now, as you said, to blame it on people, quote, abandoning her, the term abandon implies that you were with them for some period of time, and that simply isn't the case.
I mean, the hubris of that woman. She thinks she's the smartest person in the history of the freaking world. And she said that everybody from her husband, who won the presidency actually twice, told her, you know, you got to get your little rear end out there and campaign a little bit and get in there. And she said no. She told everybody, Carville, Mark Penn, her pollster, everybody, all her advisors, I don't have to do that. This is a coronation. They are electing me queen of the world is what is happening here. And I don't have to do a darn thing except everybody's going to kiss the ring of me on my way to the ascension of this. And I mean, the psychosis of that woman has got to be off the charts, Dr. Kelly.
Well, I have to say the one thing I agreed with her on, Roy, is that she shouldn't campaign, because had she campaigned, she would have lost by a bigger margin. Okay, I mean, the best thing Hillary Clinton can do is just keep quiet. She is so unlikable. Really, she's one of those people, when I hear her voice, that it makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I mean, it's just that grating. And I think many, many people found it that way, not just women, but also men. She has a sense of entitlement that I find incredibly offensive. She didn't offer anything. She pandered to every single minority group. She'd put on a fake Southern accent, a fake black accent, a fake whatever to try to talk to them, and then to lump women together as a voting bloc as if women have ever stood together and voted one particular way is really just repulsive.
One of the things, the great Attorney General Ken Paxton out of Texas, which the establishment and the Bushies tried to get rid of that, but they were unsuccessful. This is in Real America's Voice coming up. Governors, lawmakers, and attorney generals team up to stop the World Health Organization from seizing more power over U.S. health decisions. Paxson said he believes decisions about health should be left up to individual states. I mean, really? We're going to abide by the Constitution. We're going to abide to people's real freedom of choice, and states to determine, people in the individual states to determine how they want to live their lives and how they want their health care delivered, and just about everything else, that understand that the government has the federal government truly limited powers, and the states and your local communities have broad powers. But again, a guy like Trump, and I see the forces, and I see women especially, are fighting against this totalitarian power grab that has been inflicted on us. Maybe COVID was the thing that finally woke people up, Dr. Kelly.
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, it's been pointed out many times, certainly by me and by others, that there is no caveat in the Constitution, Roy, that said all of these, rights stand, except in the case of a pandemic, in which case we just throw the whole thing in the crapper and move. We just give away our civil liberties and our rights, and we turn over. We abdicate the sovereignty of our nation over to an unelected group of officials sitting somewhere in Europe. I mean, that's not how it worked. All right. The entire idea of this country, the entire experiment of having a democratic republic was so that we would get away from that, have a sovereign nation, which, by the way, includes things like, borders and some limits. But the idea that we have people coming out and saying, Ken Paxton saying, here's a great idea, that the decisions actually belong in the hands of the people, but we have a constitution that was very well written. And unless we go and amend our constitution, we have no right, they have no right to give over any of these liberties, any of this control to the World Health Organization. Once again, to be clear, the WHO has nothing to do with health. Health is in the name, but that has nothing to do with what their intentions are, what their goals are. The WHO is a bunch of unelected officials led by a guy, Tedros, Dr. Tedros, not a medical doctor, who is handpicked by the Chinese Communist Party. He in his own right is a terrorist. He has a very, very bad past, and their interest is not in protecting your health. It's in garnering power. It's in gaining control. And one of the really expedient ways to gain control is to use health as a cudgel.
If we run down this path, we would be flushing down the sacrifice that we celebrated yesterday on Memorial Day, the 1.5 million that fought, bled, and died to give us this country. But with this, and, you know, they wanted to, you know, racist white hillbillies, tinfoil hats, conspiracy theorists. But here's what it says in the Real America's Voice articles. Political leaders are warning that changes the WHO wants to make to its member agreements, which are generally supported by the Biden administration, would insert foreigners into the doctor-patient relationship in America, which they did during COVID. I mean, we got to get if we want any semblance of a country, and if we want to carry on and honor and not disrespect those who died defending this country, we have got to 1,947% reject this, Dr. Kelly.
100%, Roy. Why in the world would we abdicate control over something this important to a group of unelected officials who aren't even Americans? And, you know, don't be confused that this is not just pertain to a pandemic. Everybody thinks this is a pandemic treaty. It is not worded about a pandemic. It's in a case of a a public health emergency or a public health crisis. But that crisis is by the definition of the WHO. What's to stop them from saying, oh, I don't know, climate change is a public health crisis, and therefore you all need to give up your gas cars, and everybody is remanded, must now have an electric vehicle. Or, you know, that gun violence is a public health crisis, and therefore, because of this treaty, the WHO can now decide that the Second Amendment has been suspended and you must turn over your firearms. These are not far-fetched ideas because, as I said, the WHO is not interested in health. They are interested in control. And the best way to kneecap this country, Roy, and to make us very, very controllable, very conquerable, would be to take away our guns. That is what differentiates us from people in the UK, from people in Australia and New Zealand and South Africa, is that we have guns because we have a Second Amendment. All it would take is this treaty to pass and the WHO to determine that there is some, quote, public health crisis that involves firearms, and we would be screwed.
100%. When you were on Thursday, it was just breaking the whole Fauci, Dasick, and Collins were trying to hide information about the whole COVID con of that in the Wuhan lab and the gain of function, which they said, oh, we're not doing gain of function research. Well, they knew. My contention is those three especially, during this whole COVID thing, that was their main job, was doing a CYA to do that. Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream picked it up on Sunday. Give us a little update on this. We'll see if the video plays today of that. Here we go. Maybe.
Comes from David Morin's Gmail. It says, we got to be careful. I learned from our FOIA lady, that's Freedom of Information Act, lady here, how to make emails disappear after I'm FOIA'd, but before the search starts. So I think we are all safe. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail. Here's another email from him produced by the House Committee saying this. I learned the tricks last year from an old friend, Mark Moore, who heads our FOIA office and also hates FOIAs. So, Molly, the person who's supposed to make you comply with, transparent communications, according to these emails, looks like was telling him how to get around it.
Definitely looks like that from these emails, which show sort of what a permanent, unelected bureaucracy can do to control information in D.C. and really control so much of what happens here. But it's also important that we not forget what these emails were about. They were about how we were funding some of the work that was happening in China that related to COVID and suppressing any discussion of the origins of COVID. That is.
Molly Hemingway said a mouthful there of that. Besides the whole freedom of speech, transparency, accountability part, she's basically said the same thing you and I and many others have said. Fauci, Collins, and Dasick were in there from day one. They knew they were in deep trouble when that they were running a misdirection play, trying to get everybody off of what was really happening because they knew they were complicit in what was going on, Dr. Kelly.
Oh, there's no question, Roy. And we have the receipts. We have emails. We know that they tried to get around the FOIA issue by using private emails, and they said so. They used private, fundamentally burner phones. They met in person. Dasick talks about handing over documents to Anthony Fauci in person rather than emailing them, specifically to avoid FOIA requests. These are crimes in and of themselves. Just that, trying to avoid, the checks and balances that are put in to allow Americans have a right to have access to this information, and they don't have a right to hide it from us. But this is, they tried a fancy game of wordsmithing early on, saying it wasn't gain of function. They know darn well that it was gain of function. They know darn well that they used U.S. taxpayer dollars to do it. They know that the actual origin of COVID was from the lab in Wuhan where they were working on it, and that the entire bat wet market theory was preposterous from the get-go. And they know this. The question is whether Rand Paul and anybody else in Congress will have the tenacity to stick with this, hold them accountable, and, they should be like a dog with a bone. Do not give up on this. We know we have the proof that these guys are guilty, and they need to be held to account.
Yeah, Senators Rand Paul and Ron Johnson of Wisconsin have been the two that I've seen have been the two pit bulls on this whole thing, have not let as best they could Fauci and then the crew off the hook on this thing. Now Comer in the House is kind of picking it up a little bit, where he had that Morton's guy in there who actually said, well, yeah, I guess we did. But I did. He was so contradictory that, well, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And then, well, yeah, we were doing this to hide the stuff. Well, come on, dude. I mean, he should have probably been taking the fifth when they were asking him those questions. But I'm glad he did answer him the way he did, because now those guys got a big problem. And I've said, none of this gets fixed. None of it. Until guys like Fauci, Collins, and Dasick are breaking rocks in Leavenworth for the rest of their lives on this earth. Until they're looking at the roots of the grass, they should never see another day of freedom, Dr. Kelly.
I agree. Unfortunately, people have been calling for Nuremberg 2.0. Whether that will happen, it's unlikely. But I certainly do hope that there are people who are held to criminal account, and that includes Anthony Fauci. He has lied from the beginning. Dasick, Barrick, these guys are they are clearly guilty of crimes against humanity. They lied. They broke the law over and over again. And unfortunately, I don't think there's any moving forward in this country. There's no healing from the devastation of this pandemic response without contrition and without accountability. So unfortunately, I think we have got to get some people really in criminal court, and ideally convicted and spending some time in prison, because otherwise we're going to do this again. I promise. It's just around the corner.
Two things I think will facilitate this. Of course, starting first, the election on November 5th, 2024 of Donald J. Trump. And the second part is, and I hope he does this, and if there's a guy that would do it, it would be Trump. If he appoints Matt Gaetz Attorney General, I can guarantee you those guys will be in court up on charges faster than make their heads spin, Dr. Kelly.
Well, this is a mixed bag, Roy, because remember, to this point, as of today, Trump has not come out himself and offered anything other than the vaccines are awesome, these great shots, they saved all these lives. I have said, and I'll say it again, I believe that Trump needs to get out ahead of this and say, look, I was misled. I had every reason to be able to believe Anthony Fauci. I should have been able to, but I was misled. They lied to me. They were fraudulent. They are correct. He needs to acknowledge this, because otherwise, if he gets elected, and as you say, he appoints Matt Gaetz or somebody of that caliber as, as AG, who's now going to try to prosecute these guys, the question is going to be, what do you mean prosecute them? Mr. Trump, President Trump, these are your guys. You listen to them and you have yet to say a negative thing about them. So I think Trump has got to start telling people that he was misled. He's got to say he was lied to. He should have been able to trust them, and he didn't, or he can't, because they were dishonest. And what he will do differently when he gets in office again the next time. And hopefully that differently will include, maybe appointing some of the people who got it right the last time.
I think Matt Gaetz would give Trump the cover he needs to admit or to come out with a statement like that. That's why I think to me, it's more important to see who he needs to name these guys, at the convention or whatever, who's all going to be on his cabinet. And I think if a guy like Matt Gaetz is in there at AG, I think it'll be Katie Barr the door on this and a lot of other things going on, but we shall see. Thanks for being on, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Roy.
You got it. Dr. Kelly Victory saying it as only she can on that, man. And I think, Trump's a guy that he has a hard time admitting he made a mistake, or he needs a cover to doing this. Kind of like the abortion issue is for it, and then switch in some issues. He needs a cover to do that, and I think a guy like Matt Gaetz as Attorney General would give him that kind of cover to say, hey, and I think he knows he doesn't want to stir up the hornet's nest quite yet, because he's got enough of those fires going on as it is, with the sham trial that's wrapping up. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit more tomorrow. But no, I think Trump's picking his battles and strategically, sticking on ICE, baby, immigration, crime, and the economy. And then once he gets in, then it'll be fun time in River City, as they say. We shall see. We never know how these things will go, but as they say, hope springs eternal. Oh, man, we'll be right back after this commercial message. Stay tuned. Maybe. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota and Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to patriotswitch.com. If you need a new Subaru or Toyota, go to one of Cliff Cummings' great dealerships at the San Bernardino Auto Mall at the 10 and 215 freeways. Man, what a day on that. I didn't think I'd do. You know, you get on a roll with that. Heck, I did like over a half hour on the Hillary thing. But she deserves it. God, what a witch. I could tell you, well, I think as a female pop, the smarter half is getting to it. But I can tell you, in the retarded half of the population, there's no more hated, annoyed person in the world that Hillary Rodham Clinton of that. Man, that'll do it for today. But as we usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in 22 and a half hours wide. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya!
The proceeding was a paid.
All right, Roy, take it easy. I'll talk to you Friday.
You got it.